Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about Pluto transiting the 6th house in a natal chart. Now, on average, Pluto will traverse a house for approximately 21 years. However, if your house size is a little bit larger than average, then Pluto will be in there for a little bit of a longer duration. If your house size is a little bit smaller than average, then Pluto will be in there for a little bit of a shorter period. Well, anyway, people, first thing I'll look at, Pluto transiting one's natal 6th house. This could be a time perhaps of some transformation on the workforce, where you work, where you're employed at. It could be a period where you make some kind of change at some point. Perhaps the change starts, at least in your mind, or at least mentally, at the beginning of the transit into the 6th house, and then it's fully consummated and completed when it reaches the end, or that end period of the 6th house. This could also be a time, look at Pluto, can be about obliteration and destruction. In some cases, you might have something where your work ends for some reason, and maybe it could be for various reasons. It could be maybe some debilitating illness in some cases, or just not able to physically perform your job functions. It could be maybe you have other things that take precedence, and that kind of destroys as far as your work life goes. Maybe other things take concern over this, and it could be also a period, in some cases, people don't want to hear the dreaded D word, but in isolated cases, it could indicate death at work. It could, the propensity for this can increase very marginally, though. Pluto is connected with death, and the 6th house is about employment and work. And also the 6th house is about our health. And this could be a time where you might feel an urge to transform your health. Maybe it's a period where you're looking at yourself, you don't feel you're right health-wise. Maybe you start some regimented workout routine. Maybe you start working out extensively, and what's important to remember is not to overdo it during this time. Pluto can be about obsession and fixation, and when Pluto was transiting my 6th house, I was working out pretty heavy and very consistently, and I became very obsessed with it. And part of the reason I have irrevocable nerve damage is because I believe from the times when I had worked out very heavy, and I didn't take a lot of the precautions, wearing the right band. There's some wristbands or something you're supposed to wear, I believe, and I didn't wear them. And I have some nerve damage that I can't get rid of now, and a lot of that is attributed to when I worked out. So it's very important to look at this during this transit. Now also, when you look at this, Pluto can be about a transformation, and maybe you decide to take on a job that's connected with transformation. I don't mean like the Transformer, what is it, those robots that turn into cars. They may actually have some in real life right now, but maybe something connected with recycling, and maybe something where you're changing things, maybe doing some rebuilt work on cars, for example, changing, maybe restoring things, doing some kind of like renovation, which could be connected with home, for example. In some cases, you might maybe be subject to something nefarious going on your place of employment, and might be something that surprises you, and you feel might be something where it's that bad, where you feel need to report something, or something just seems underhanded. So those are some things to look at during this time. And also the 6th house is about our daily routine, so you might see some strong transformation connected with that during this time. And Pluto, I believe, can be about upheavals as well, so there might be some upheavals during this time. And also Pluto can be connected with astrology, the occult, and supernatural, so those things may be incorporated into your daily routine, or have a little greater chance of this during this transit. And During this time as well, keep in mind that the sixth house is about how we service others. So maybe this is a time where you might service people connected with something Pluto, like maybe doing, for example, doing some investigation on your computer, trying to help somebody find a person, for example, could be one example. Maybe something connected with astrology, the occult. Maybe you do chart for somebody and do analysis to try to give them insight into themselves, could be an example. And maybe something with investigation, something maybe connected with psychology, perhaps. Also, the sixth house is about hygiene as well. And really, it's important. I mean, hygiene is always essential and it's significant, but it's not like you have to go and do the exact same thing and cleaning at the exact same time every day, for example. I have Pluto making a long conjunction to my natal sixth house cusp in my natal chart. It's in my fifth house, but it makes a long conjunction to my sixth house. And I could be somewhat compulsive almost, or obsessed with really doing that same thing connected with the routine and the hygiene on a day-to-day basis. I wouldn't say compulsive, might be a little strong word, but I like to do things very much near the same time a lot, and I think that might have something to do with Pluto in that position in my horoscope. Now, another thing too is what people may wonder: could something happen where they may get some kind of compulsive thing? In all seriousness, it literally compulsive type maybe problem during this time, like an obsessive compulsive disorder. Well, Pluto does, if it transits the sixth house, and especially when if it makes an inconjunct to your ascendant, it can increase those chances a little. But I think most people this won't happen to, but it could happen during. If it were to happen, I think it would be likely when it makes the inconjunct aspect to your ascendant. Well, anyway, it's also important to look at the aspects that are made from this transit to your natal planets and points in your natal chart, as this could impact the transit. Now, let's say, for example, that transiting Pluto is making a conjunction to your natal sun. Well, perhaps a transformation connected with vitality and what you want may take place at this time. And being in the sixth, this may be injected perhaps into work related matters. Now, and also maybe even health-related ones as well. Now, let's take another example. Let's say that transiting Pluto is making a sextile or trine to your natal moon. Well, this may indicate a positive change or transformation, perhaps to your emotional well-being, and even you're having control of your emotions. Now, being in the sixth house, this could be perhaps applied to your work and to some health-related matters. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for Pluto transiting the sixth house in a natal chart. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be dissertating and talking about Pluto transiting the seventh house in a natal chart. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone. Because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.